It's 11:11. Make a wish.
Welcome to Hacking Hypermobility Podcast.
I'm Luna.
And I'm Shelly.
And we're two bendy mamas.
Hacking Hypermobility.
Let's get started. I'm Shelly. And that's Luna. And I went off script and she's here for it. And that's Tiffany. That's our producer, Tiffany. So let's start with some life updates. Because when we left last July and said we'd be back, we didn't really specify. So when we last left, I'll start with me. I was headed into my fourth surgery since September of 2024. For my left hip, I had a big old tear in there. And so after that was repaired, I had started discussing my persistent shoulder pain with my surgeon, who mostly does knees and hips, but also does shoulders. And I had just told him, I'm like, nothing I do helps. I'm like, there's no tears. It's just a bunch of inflammation. It's just angry. PT sucks. I hate it. I can't do anything. You know, I rested. It gets a little bit better, but I can't do anything. So he's like, well, so he looked at the MRI and was like, those are angry shoulders. And he's like, well, let's look at the x-ray. And he put up the x-ray and he's like, oh, I know what's wrong. And I was like, oh my God, tell me. And he's like, your clavicles are too long for your body. So basically, I was like, what? And so the official term is distal clavicle osteolysis, which when we talk about some things later on, I'll interject that term and you'll find out why. But anyway, so basically in the space of my AC joint where your clavicle fits into there, and also I'm a side sleeper for anybody who needs to know, and this is a big problem because both sides were angry. So in that space, they like to see 1 centimeter of space so that your AC joint, your clavicle can like slide into that joint and like have room to move around and not get angry. And when I had the surgery, I had my left shoulder. That was the angrier one. I had that done in September of 2025. He had to excise 8 millimeters of bone, chop it out, in order to have 1 centimeter of space. So basically there was only 2 millimeters of space in there for my bone to move around, which isn't enough. So I recovered from that, and then we decided to proceed with my right shoulder because at this point I'm a guru when it comes to surgeries, and I had met my deductible way earlier in the year, so it's like, yay, surgery, let's get her done. So in December, I had it done on my right side, and on that side, they had to excise a whole centimeter. I didn't have any main issues. I put some videos up on my TikTok of recovery, and structurally, I feel orthopedically, structurally, I generally feel great. My lumbar spine is still degenerating, and my left knee is not happy, and I hurt my elbow, but I'm actively ignoring those things because I'm sticking to my no surgery in 2026 goal. I should have also made a no new diagnoses goal for 2026 because there's a gnat flying around, and it is, sorry, I'm gonna not be distracted by the gnat. Anyway,
naughty gnat.
2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, whatever, some time ago, I got an answer to all of my weird eye problems. And it's that I have binocular vision dysfunction. And it really, really explains all of the weird things that I've observed but had no answer for. And we can discuss that later. We don't have to go into that now. Other than that, Alec and I are having our 25th anniversary in September. So I'm doing a fun little project, and we're taking a tiny little trip. So that'll be fun. We're going to see Muse later in July with me. It's me, my kiddos, my bestie Carrie, and my kiddos' significant others, and a few other friends are meeting us there. And it's at one of my favorite venues, which is Merriweather Post. We have lawn seats. So fingers crossed for good weather, universe. And then beyond that, I'm just trying to figure out what I want to do next year because I'm turning 50. I'm 50. Not yet, almost. But I am a member of AARP thanks to my husband. That's me. And my kids are doing awesome. And we got some kittens. I don't want to talk about Dinah. I'm not ready to. I don't want to talk about Dinah. But anyway, you can talk, Luna. It's fine.
You sure?
Yeah, we lost Dinah suddenly in January, and I'm obviously still very gutted about it. But last month, the cat distribution system hooked us up big time, and the story of how these cats came to us is really cool. I'm not going to share it now because it's a little off topic. But anyway, they're super cool. They've joined the Mad Catters Kitty Party, and they are named after tea. So we have Sir Earl Grey. We call him Earl. I call him Early Bird. And we have Princess. We found out at the adoption place that had her briefly that it was the litter of the one girl and three boys. So they'd only named the girl because it was the only one they called her Princess, which is funny because we've been calling Alice Queen Alice. So she's Princess Chamomile Peppermint, and we call her Cammy. And they're super fun. And I have siblings, and they're bonded, and they're just so cute. And they embodied my favorite qualities of all of the cats I've had. So I don't know. I feel like I deserved it, and I'm just enjoying it. So, the end.
Congratulations on 25 years, by the way.
Thank you.
And I'm glad that your family is changing and adapting in special ways. I will miss Dinah as well. It's strange to think that was goodbye. We all are cat people, but I'm all animal people, if I'm honest. My cat, she was elderly and she was a Houdini, and she, even in her old age, would get out, and she's been gone now for...
That's been 2 years?
A long time. About a year and a half since last winter. So, yeah, I'm assuming, she's gone. I've thought about, getting another pet, but I can't manage to care for another living being right now.
The cat distribution system will find you when it's time.
Yeah, if it is what's needed. And we always talk about this is the podcast where science meets our lived experience.
Yeah.
We, the patients, have the microphones, but that unfortunately means sometimes our chronic illness catches up to us. This past year, I talked to our podcast team and asked for a sabbatical, so that's why we've been on a little bit of a break. I've been going through a bad burnout, probably the most difficult in my life because my daughter has also really been struggling with her health. And so our symptoms have been kind of harder to manage in the past year. For her, it's mainly been POTS and pain symptoms. And for me, it's been autism. Not so much. I mean, health is always a delicate balance for me, but I started to really struggle with burnout, with work and socializing and just doing all the things that you have to do to maintain life logistics. So I really focused on trying to maintain health and focus on important connections here in my own community. And to try to regain my voice, I did this crazy experiment where I did stand-up comedy here in Nashville, and it was successful-ish. I did well and I enjoyed it, but I'm also burnt out on that now too. So, but it did help me kind of find some fun and creativity in writing again. And so I was able to kind of put together the podcast again. And
as your girl needs structure over here, I can't just, otherwise it's going to be 4 hours of me talking about random shit.
So I will fully admit I am still in burnout. I am not as bad as I was, but I am still, in code red with my child's health. She was we had to go to the emergency room once this summer already because of having to go off some medications and then trying new medications, and she's still just really unmanaged. It's been a tough couple months for her, and she's 15, so she's going to be a sophomore in high school. So like this is, the time of her life where she doesn't want to be held back in ways. We should be trying to learn how to drive, and she can barely stay upright. That's a struggle. We did this year, I guess the big thing was she had a soft autism diagnosis, but we hadn't gone through the full evaluation because of the wait, and she found her name finally came up on the wait list, and she went through the official evaluation, and she officially has an autism diagnosis and officially does not have an ADHD diagnosis, which I think is hilarious because both of her parents have ADHD also.
Did she mask during that appointment? Because remember, Carolyn got the same thing.
Yeah.
And Carolyn was like, "Oh, I was trying to actively not show my ADHD stuff because I thought that
she has ADHD."
And I was like, and she might. I don't think she does either.
Yeah.
Carolyn absolutely did. So I was like, Carolyn. And she's like, "What? I already have the script and whatever. Like, who cares what they say?" And I was like, "Okay, fine."
Yeah. So the first evaluation or the first appointment, she masked. Like they kind of delved into it deeper, and then in the second appointment, which was like a 4-hour evaluation.
Yeah, that's why they break it up into two, so the kid's comfortable the second time. And
it was a different evaluator who is very familiar with teenagers and with girls. Noted all of the differences through the masking and stuff. And Evelyn was able to articulate that she's not aware that she masks or when she masks, like it's involuntary.
So like second nature.
Yeah. But I will say she has, because of just her sheer exhaustion and pain levels and all this, and we've had really intense weather, so it's made it harder physically with pain and stuff.
The changes are harder.
She does not mask so much. And so, we'll be with other people, family or whatever, and they'll say something like, "Why are you being rude?" Or I'm like, she's not masking. So she's losing the ability to mask right now because of how intense her physical symptoms are. So that is that's hard to watch, because then that because a mask is a
social problem. It becomes a social problem.
Yeah.
Through no fault of her own.
Yeah, and she's had, she calls it, oh shoot, what does she call it? The freshman. Oh, she has a cute name for it, but she had a falling out with some friends her freshman year, and
the freshman fallout.
Yeah, that's what she calls it, the freshman fallout.
Yeah, I was gonna say that sounds like.
And I love that she can make light of it, but also she's found a good group of supportive friends, and we have one of my best friends is like kind of auntie to her, and is also a zebra like us, and so she does have support, or more understanding and support and stuff like that. And I'm very proud of her despite everything she's going through. She's so tenacious and stands up for herself and is assertive and that sort of thing. But it still requires a lot of advocacy and that sort of thing on my part. We meet a lot of resistance, and there's a lot of labor that goes into just managing her care, educating those who care for her. And that's very frustrating. We are managing, but it's not the greatest. So that's where we're at. That's our life update in general.
I just realized I forgot a diagnosis I got also, another one.
Yeah.
Not a diagnosis, but a treatment that started working, which is Botox for the cervical dystonia, which resolved a lot of the symptoms that I attributed to CCI.
Mm-hmm.
Just put that out there. Anyway.
Well, she's been doing Botox for migraine for almost a year now, and she's done several rounds of it, and it hasn't helped.
It doesn't help everyone, but I'm sorry it's not working for her. It sucks. Because it's a pain in the ass to get all through that procedure.
Yeah. And I'm struggling with worse migraines myself. So that's interesting that treated dystonia. That's
Well,
good
it
news.
helps. So all of the things so it didn't get rid of all of them, but it helped with like I didn't have to wake up in the morning and put on my neck wrap. Many of my floaters, including the one that I had named Jessica, had like resolved. Jessica's back though, but that's because I'm due for Botox on the 13th. So like when Jessica comes back, and when I
it's wearing off.
Yeah. So when Jessica's back, and when my heat wrap, I need my heat wrap in the mornings. But I've noticed less jaw pain because I'm not clenching as much, and I have so the thing that like actually made me cry was that after my first treatment kicked in, I was actually able to like make out with my husband, like for like, which sounds crazy, but like kissing, if you have jaw pain, any kind of kissing is not something that is easy to do for any prolonged period of time, despite the desire to do so. So
that is an amazing 25th anniversary gift. Who cares about
that happened right
wood
after
or gold or whatever it is.
Yeah, that was an amazing thing. So if you are in that boat like me, and you can't do that and you want to, or do other things that involve your mouth that you want to, because that is also an issue. That's still an issue because of gag reflex, which the dystonia did not resolve, but whatever.
I'm convinced
this is not an
the higher powers
podcast.
gave me TMJ issues just so that I would shut up sometimes.
Yeah, I do find talking more easily. I don't go through those spells of where I'm hungry, but I don't want to chew. Which is why I became very, very familiar with all kinds of protein shakes. So yeah, so I'm just saying, but now the problem I'm running into is, okay, well, I have to go through a rigmarole every quarter with, even though I got approved for the year with insurance. Now my clinic is saying, well, it's blah, blah, we're going to outsource it. So now it might be hard again for me. So like, I finally get an answer. Yeah. I finally start getting some treatment. It's going great. And they're like, and it's not them as a whole, but like my doctor was like, also I can handwrite now. I can handwrite. I can't do it for prolonged periods, but like I wrote a handwritten thank you note to my pain management doctor. And I was like, this handwritten thank you note is courtesy of the Botox treatments for my cervical dystonia. I haven't handwritten a note in I don't know how long. Thank you. And so he and his clinic tech, like I get management found out, because when I dropped it off they weren't on their regular clinic days, and that was a big deal. And so then when they told me the news that they might be not offering it anymore, or making it somehow what my doctor was proposing is, we have so many patients that would benefit from this, let's bring it in-house. Bring it in-house and we do it. But like management's like, no, we don't really want to do that. But also it's so annoying dealing with these insurance companies. So we're just not going to offer it anymore. That's their solution. And so this has actually reminded me that I do need to write another note to them and be like, hey, just so you're aware, like, this has helped me. I've told other people, it started helping them. This clinic, the overall health clinic, is the same clinic that does my pain management and oversaw all 6 of my surgeries, and will probably oversee the knee surgery I'm gonna have because I am not in denial. But not this year. Not this year.
That's fair.
But I'd be more than happy to spread the word about how someone who's giving them a fuck ton of money is somehow not going to get care anymore. I can blah, blah, blah about that all day. You know how I like to talk when I get going. So anyway, all of that to say is, you get answers, you get some treatment, you get some relief, but then something happens, and
sometimes the treatments aren't covered with insurance and you got to fight.
Correct.
I spend half my time on the phone arguing and appealing things.
And that's exhausting, and that wears you down, and that takes away from your ability to human the way you want to human.
Yeah. And then our state's controlled substance laws on one of her medications just make me want to scream. So, yeah. So fun. There's so many
Merca.
layers of barriers. Anyhow, Tiffany, what?
The Lariers. They're
What about
Lariers.
you?
Anyway,
Yeah, there
Tiffany.
I'm also kind of been in like a burnout state. It's been a weird like up and down. Like sometimes I feel like I'm good and like new chapter, and like the start of the year I was like, do this, it's gonna be a great year. And then it just kind of like fizzled out, and then I'm like, oh no, I'm back to reality, and the whole new
There
year
goes
mindset.
gravity.
Oh, there goes. Yep. So, I've had a whole bunch of new diagnoses over the last year that I'm trying, and they're just it's not been fun to try to handle, especially with me being so rural and not having access to knowledgeable people. And then you kind of just get really burned out, especially when you also have kids that you're trying to also handle and manage their stuff.
And remind our listeners how old your kids are, because my kids are 20 and 24. Luna just said her child is 15, and your kids are
12 and a half, and one that is going to be 11 in like a month.
Your parenting is a lot more exhausting because you've got two that are still need you a lot.
Yeah,
not a lot, but just right. But like two, like under 18s, like
and they're
like
very
I feel
close
like I'm
age-wise.
I'm a mom, whatever, and I'm just like, here, take some money, go drive yourself. Bye. You know what I mean? Like it's very different. It's very, very different, is what I'm saying. So like I think I talk about a lot of stuff, and I want people to remember you guys deal with so much stuff that I dealt with that I blacked out.
Yeah, we are. This is the first time since like the beginning of the month, beginning of June, that I've been away from them, like at all. Like, so I mean, they've been running like. I have a new office. That's another new thing, is I moved my office location across the street because my old office was only stair accessible through a salon. Wasn't very conducive, especially like when I first moved in, not taking into consideration like chemical smells all day and the volume of being in a loft office in a tile building where it just bounces everywhere. And it was just,
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, all of that sounds so terrible.
When I looked at the place, because I just needed something, and it was, I was like, this is fine. But nobody was there. And then I was like, well, it's echoey because it's a tile floor and there's no furniture.
It's empty,
so
no one's here. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I moved in all the stuff and I'm like, oh no, it's still very echoey. And I can hear conversations from the women downstairs that are having a great time. And I'm like, this is, and then I didn't get to even go to the office for over a month because my Achilles is being angry and has grown a bump, and I have all these foot issues and knee issues now. So it was like I couldn't even go upstairs to get to my office for over a month.
And so there was no elevator?
There's no elevator. Where I am, it's like historic.
There's no so that's how they get around the accessibility laws. Okay. I was just to be like, I feel like.
Yeah, you would think that because it's historic and the buildings are like 1930s, they have a loophole. Luckily, across the street from that office, which was also a problem, just crossing the street because it's around a blind curve. And I'm like, I'm going to die. Or when my kids were there, it was like, please don't hit my children. But now I'm in an old cardiologist's office. So it has a huge, accessible, wide ramp to walk up, and it's much better. And I think it was just meant to be, and I appreciate it. So trying to relocate the business and actually get started, like really getting my business going is a whole nother can of worms. But yeah, mostly just trying to focus on health stuff. You get to a point where you just almost, I don't want to say not care, but like you just cannot devote as much energy to it because it is just so all encompassing between managing yourself and your kids, and it's just a lot. And I found that focusing on other things, it's not the most productive, but it's also what I can do because I'm kind of limited with options being so rural. So instead of kind of dwelling on that, I just started doing more creative things and focusing on other things that kind of help take the mind off things. That's my year. And we did get to go see Dr. Stevens at the new UVA EDS clinic in Charlottesville. So that was it was very exciting. They're still working out all the logistics of the new center, whatever. So I guess the EDS portion for kids has been there in place, and now they're just kind of adding in the adult and kind of reshifting how it's done. But that was a fantastic appointment that I was so happy.
How long did you have to wait?
Not long. We thankfully
Because you were established.
Because we were established with her orthopedic surgeon, and we've been going to him for over 5 years, like 5 or 6 years now. And so she was able to get in I'm still on the wait list for the adult version. I have no idea when that's going to happen, but she was able to get an appointment. I want to say it was maybe 4 or 5 months from the time that we got in contact that they were able to schedule out. So it's not horrible. I mean, it's understandable. She's one person, and
so there's one doctor.
They have just added, they're adding more doctors in. They've just, I cannot remember her name, but she is a pediatric, almost like a primary care specializing with EDS. So they are adding more people, especially with the whole EDS specific clinic. But as of right now, it's just her. So, and that appointment honestly was over an hour and a half. Like she went literally head to toe. We found out my daughter has a couple of things that I didn't realize she was experiencing, because we're also at that age where we don't talk
to mom. Yeah.
We don't talk to mom, or we don't know that not everybody experiences this. So it was very interesting to be like she's dysautonomia. We didn't know dysautonomia for her because she's never once been like, yeah, I get dizzy. And so when doctor's going through her thing, and I'm like, what? It was kind of eye-opening to see how much more she is affected, because I have always just thought it's more physical as far as the the musculoskeletal issues. But it turns out it's not. So it's been trying to adapt, and because they're both so close in age, it's been fun.
Mama's tired. To meet them. I got to meet them. So.
Finally, I know. I'm so excited.
I can't wait for all of us to all get together with all of our kids.
It'll great. Happen one day soon.
Well, next year I've already got the dates planned out, and I think we're gonna put it on a calendar already.
I did.
The BMW, the Bendy Mama weekend.
I can't wait. They're there. They keep talking about their new cousin Shelly, and they're cats. They love the cats.
Well, the kittens were the draw. I am not unaware of my ranking in that situation.
It's no offense. They're cats.
Not offended. I would probably rank
lady
your
luring
cats.
little children in with kittens.
Yeah, it's okay.
Forget candy. You got to have kitties.
Candy. So, that's my year, and we've had it's been a busy year for Zebra News, and this would not be the Hacking Hypermobility podcast without some Zebra News. So, Luna, do you have any updates that you think are important that we should know to get started today?
Someone should have stayed on top of it. We know she did.
I did still keep on top of my special interests a little bit, despite this theme of burnout. I think it would be a nice change of pace. Talk about some encouraging updates from our community this year. So I do have some. First time in a long time, it kind of feels like the research is catching up a little bit. It's definitely accelerating, and it's going into areas of research that I think the community has been asking for. One of the biggest stories has been the incredible work coming out of Norris Lab, which is MUSC, the Medical University of South Carolina. Their team is expanding one of the largest EDS biorepositories to date and collaborating on this massive genetic and clinical data sets to better understand hypermobile, Ehlers-Danlos syndromes, dysautonomia, and all the other conditions that travel alongside them. And they've been researching heads for a while, but this big collection of genetic material has been coming to fruition in their research. Meanwhile, the EDS societies Road to 2026 initiative is preparing for the first major update to the international diagnostic criteria in nearly a decade. It was last updated in 2017. So researchers from around the world have been collaborating and reviewing nearly a decade of new evidence and research, along with the input of thousands of patients, to create updated diagnostic criteria, clear clinical pathways, and practical treatment advice for physicians, finally. So the first publications from this effort are expected later this year, with additional clinical guidance following into 2027. So that's very good news, because one of our biggest complaints is, physicians need guidance on how to treat us. Another very big shift, perhaps the biggest, isn't really a single discovery. It's more a shift in perspective about hypermobility. More researchers are beginning to see hypermobile EDS as not isolated as just loose joints and a syndrome, but more as a complex whole body condition. That systems-based approach is finally reflecting what patients have been saying all along, all these lists we have of, hey, what about all these other things? One of the most exciting developments over the past year has been the growing recognition that heads may be far more than a connective tissue disorder. Researchers are increasingly investigating heads as a condition involving complex interactions between not only connective tissue, the autonomic nervous system, but also the immune system and the brain. So this emerging neuroimmune model could help explain why so many of us experience other symptoms like dysautonomia, mast cell activation, chronic pain, fatigue, sensory hypersensitivity, brain fog, migraines, gastrointestinal issues, and on, all as part of the same underlying condition rather than unrelated diagnoses. So instead of asking what's wrong with this one body system, researchers are beginning to ask, how are all these systems communicating with each other? What's going on here? This shift has the potential to transform not only how we understand hypermobile EDS, but maybe how we diagnose and treat it. That is exciting.
So, remember earlier when I talked about clavicle osteolyosis?
Yes.
Okay.
Long clavicle, long collarbone.
Yes,
translation.
I'm like, yes. But when you Google that injury or issue, you come up with it tends, this injury, now granted, it tends to happen in weightlifters. I can't lift. Have you seen my upper body? It works better now, but anyway. So I was like, that's weird. And I was like, what are other causes of it? Another cause of osteolyosis in the body is if you have an autoinflammatory condition. Now, so we've mentioned my genetics multiple times in the past, and I have several markers for a couple of them, but the biggest one being familial Mediterranean fever, which is an autoinflammatory condition, which explains a lot of things. But it also ties into like an immune component, and also goes along with what like Dr. Maitland said when I went to a conference last summer that I also didn't mention when things that I did, but whatever, I forget everything. But Dr. Maitland is also going to be at conference, so I'm really excited to hear the updates that come along with that. But that whole long collarbone thing, I never, ever, ever would have thought things
would have put those pieces together.
Yeah. Right, but then I started thinking about it from a different perspective, like what is bone made of? And then I'm like, well, what are kidney stones made of? What are gallstones made of? Kind of the same, a buildup of, so because I don't feel like, I have no idea when my bones got too long. I don't know if it was did they just grow that way? Was it because I'm also hypermobile that gave them space to keep growing?
I have some theories.
What the fuck?
If you want to, biomechanically. I have some theories. Okay, so first of all, for listeners, she's talking about Dr. Ann Malin. She's the expert on MCAS.
Yes.
So we're going to talk about this later in the episode, but I'm going to go ahead and touch on it.
Yeah,
So your joints, one of their functions, besides articulating how you move in space, is sending that sensation back to your brain. It's called proprioception. It's one of our senses. And
did I accidentally tie it into it?
you did. And
Holy shit.
so,
I knew I was psychic.
in one of the kind of discussions about the physical differences of hypermobility is, so marfanoid habitus is one of them. Like, we have a longer wingspan, we have long fingers. Shelley has long legs. I have long torso, short legs, but we have slightly different genetics. I have hip dysplasia and shallow hip sockets. Part of your development as you're growing as a young human, childhood and that sort of thing, part of your bone development is dependent upon the feedback of your proprioception in your body articulation as you're moving through space, going up into your brain, and all the feedback into your body saying, okay, grow here, grow like this. That proprioception is different in us. Our map of our body is affected by this crazy range of movement in the joint laxity.
Give a goldfish a bigger pond and it'll get bigger?
Basically. But I mean, there's not
that
actually
was a
been
super
literal
down
research.
Way.
Yes,
no,
there's
but
not actually been literal research on this, but that's the theory.
It makes sense. Like, if there's space to keep growing, why wouldn't it?
Yeah. And so, I mean, and truly, like, so all of the collagen structures, like in our teeth, we have teeth issues because they don't have a strong structure. You know, where our cells are more porous. All of this, our skin is stretchier because it doesn't build as strong as other more typical people have better collagen. And this happens in lipedema as well. It is MCAS driven as well. It's basically a response to this bendiness at the cellular level and the proprioceptive feedback in the vascular system. Interesting. I'm sorry, I spiraled into the science again.
No,
but that's kind of
that's what I'm here for. I'm here to make the transition so that
yeah.
Moving forward, what does that mean for us? Well, it means we're moving from simply surviving toward understanding. Okay, we're not being dismissed as much, but now we're actually being studied. So we're moving from managing symptoms in isolation to connecting the dots. So what does that mean?
And here in Hacking Hypermobility, that's exactly where we're headed to. That's our goal. So this season, our goal is to unpack the newest research in plain English. Hopefully I can make it understandable and not too sciencey.
I don't know. And hopefully might get some weird metaphors from me.
Right. And actually, I think that's great, because then Shelley can make goldfish comments that make me make sense.
Well, but also, let me tell you, that clavicle story, I was always trying to be like pain and here and this and trying to use like terms I've looked up or know about just from having been sent to PT so many goddamn times. And until I finally said, no, it feels like my clavicle is stabbing me. It pokey all night. And he was like I talked like a child. And he was like, that's when he was like, it's that bad. Like, so yeah, I'll be pokey and tell goldfish stories.
Yeah. So hopefully we can
help one person,
and our voice as the patient can help make sense of it. Hopefully we get the chance to talk with more experts and more patients and hear more of their stories, because we learn more from each other than anyone else. And our goal is to continue to share some of our experience and our everyday hacks that help us build more resilient lives, not despite of our hypermobile issues, but with it. Because the future of EDS just isn't about like, hey, let's get diagnosed, because that isn't the end all be all. It's about better lives. So we're so glad you're here. Let's get to the actual show.
Oh, we haven't been doing the show? Shit.
I feel like that was a big introduction.
Well, we have like a whole year to catch up on, though, so I feel like
we still have more to catch up on. So you're gonna have to listen to the next episode too.
All right. So in light of doing fun new things, we're trying something a little different, and honestly, I think it's a great way to preview some of the big news for listeners. So Luna and I are going to be attending the EDS conference again this year. It's in Texas in July. It's going to be awesome. But today we have a little preview of what's coming at the 2026 Global Learning Conference hosted by the EDS Society. Take it away, Luna.
I'm excited to go to the conference.
Yeah.
Because the conference previously, we went to the one in Philly 2 years ago, connected us, with so many great individuals and contacts and friends. And speaking of connections, yes, the theme of the conference is connecting the stripes. How clever. And exploring the comorbidities in Ehlers-Danlos syndromes and hypermobility spectrum disorder, or EDS and HSD. The medical term for health conditions that occur with a primary condition is called a comorbidity, but it seems kind of morbid, right?
A little bit. All right. It is a little morbid, but here's how we're going to play. So, listeners, if you want to play along, if you found us from social media, you've seen these things. It's the Put a Finger Down challenge. Put those bendy fingers up, and we've each got 10 fingers up.
Let's see how far this...
Yeah.
Okay. If you're just listening, we just made a bendy joke by showing our bendy fingers. Okay.
Yeah. So what we're going to do is we'll take turns reading through the co-occurring conditions from the agenda conference program.
So we're just put a finger down if you have that condition, or if you think you might need to be evaluated for that condition. So if you have it, or maybe think you do.
So no overthinking, no explanations, at least not at first, just like a gut reaction, like a yes or maybe, you put a finger down. And at the end, we'll see who has the most fingers left up.
Who wins?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you win hypermobility? I don't know. But this does sound like a really fun way to explore the lineup and see what they're offering, but also to compare our experiences and see, what's alike, what's different, and maybe, start building, for listeners at home, start building your own checklist for your health priorities.
All right, 10 fingers up, or maybe any polydactyls out there? Put them all up. All right. Ready?
Ready.
All right, let's see what the 2026 Global Learning Conference has in store for us. All right. Shelley.
Number 1, orthostatic intolerance, dysautonomia or POTS. That means dizziness, orthostatic intolerance, heart racing from standing up.
Okay. Gastrointestinal dysmobility, severe reflux, chronic constipation, gastroparesis, or IBS.
Mast cell activation syndrome, or immunological flares. So random hives, flushing, severe environmental reactivity.
All right. Number 4, neurological or spinal instability. If you have craniocervical instability, which I referred to earlier as CCI, severe migraines, or tethered cord syndrome.
Number 5, small fiber neuropathy, SFN. Neuropathic pain, burning sensations, or pins and needles. And it's very difficult to diagnose on an EMG in EDS patients, by the way.
Because of why? Because of the hypermobility.
Yeah.
Your body moves so easily. You don't keep it blocked for such a prolonged period of time. Therefore, flow gets through, et cetera, et cetera. That's not science. That's just my personal observation.
Yeah, that's shocking. Sleep architecture disorders. So waking up exhausted, sleep apnea due to lax airway tissues, severe insomnia.
Also, I need to add on to this that circadian rhythm disorders are common in autism. So, those two.
Shocker. All right. Did you give this one to me on purpose? Orthopedic manifestations. Recurrence of luxation, structural joint instability, or chronic soft tissue tears. Right? Put the thumb down for that one.
I gave you that one and I gave number 8 to me specifically.
Yeah, I figured.
Cardiovascular dilation, structural vascular quirks, including mild aortic root dilation or venous pooling. And I didn't put it on this list, but also valve differences like bicuspid valve.
I'm gonna do a half a finger on this one because I do get blood pooling, but I don't get. I don't have a dilated.
So venous pooling. Yeah.
Oh, so it counts? Yeah. Oh, look at me trying to not have all my fingers. Oh, wait.
Me too.
But I don't have a sleep architecture disorder technically, so.
Have you had a sleep study?
No.
Yeah. Okay.
No.
Well, I mean, you don't think you need evaluated though, right?
I don't, because I don't, well, if you, I don't have any of
we're
those
not
issues.
Overthinking this. We're not overthinking.
Yeah, see, exactly. Yeah. I'm not gonna Shelley this.
Okay.
I'm going mental health and chronic pain crosstalk. So living with a severe anxiety or depression driven by constant systemic pain signaling.
Okay. And last but not least, because this one informs how I react to everything and we listed above, is neurodivergence, ADHD, autism, because we know about the rates of ADHD and autism in our community compared to the general public. And that's why I deliberately planned to end like this. One finger left. I knew you would be all 10.
I have a half because of the instability, because I'm like, I'm pretty sure, but not, so I left it at a half, so I have something left up. They don't want to be an overachiever and have nothing. Like,
so I got a big old 0. I think Shelley won because she got a whole finger left up.
Whoa!
And it's fixed. It's one of the fingers I have fixed. Woo!
Good fingers.
Perfect. I can use lighters with one hand. It's amazing. I can snap. Like I couldn't snap. I didn't realize how much I missed it.
I'm curious if our listeners put 10 fingers down or how many. So tell us.
Listeners, did you know you can comment on our episodes on Spotify? So if you're listening, go to Spotify and leave a comment how many fingers you put down.
Or the YouTube or wherever.
Or anywhere. Yeah, but like you can, I don't know why I was like, do it on Spotify. I'm bossy bitch, sorry. No, I'm not sorry. That's who I am.
No, not.
Well, I am though.
Okay, bossy
why do people
bitch.
Listen to me then?
I don't know why you said you're sorry. You're not sorry.
That's what right after I said I'm sorry, I said, you know what? I'm not. I am not sorry.
Not. Well, that was validating. Maybe a little overwhelming to see it like in black and white, to see, okay, all those 10 things. Yeah. Now to quantify your experiences, there was actually a very validating research study done. It was actually a couple years ago. It was 2024. So I'm sure inflation is even worse now. But this study done 2 years ago broke down the healthcare costs of EDS. And it had a couple different cohorts. Like it broke it down by adults, pediatric, joint hypermobility syndrome, and heads. But just in general, the cost of EDS and its co-occurring conditions was so large and astronomical that it made me track my costs the next year. And it was right. I was just stunned. So do you guys have any guesses what your medical costs? Have you tracked it by chance? What your costs are annually? And we're in the US if you're listening from somewhere else.
Okay. I used to track it because I was in charge of like all of the things. And then when my brain broke in 2020, I haven't gone back to doing the things. So I'm vaguely aware of like what we're in Maryland. I'm vaguely aware of what our premiums are. I know our copays have gone up some, and I know what our copays are. But because I ended up maxing out my out-of-pocket, like my deductible, I went to so many appointments, and it was also confusing because with like your surgeries, there are some appointments that are like included, and I've already paid.
You spend more because you've had a surgery, so you're like, oh, I may as well get a 2-for-1 special.
Well, right. So I didn't track any of that, but now it's my brain is starting to like I started putting out some like forensic auditing content again, which I haven't done in a while. So like I feel like my brain's getting back into that type of analytical shit. So I'm curious, but I couldn't give you a number. It's a shit ton.
Yeah.
I know how much money I spent on like occupational therapy and speech therapy for both of my kiddos.
Yeah.
So
Well, and this was not in that study. So the study done in
God,
2024
add another 6
on
figures to it.
right? This wasn't on autism. So the study done in 2024 on the healthcare costs of EDS and its co-occurring condition showed that the total healthcare costs were between a mean of $11,000 to $100,000 annually. I added our costs up the following year, and I spent about $26,000.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, that's why I am so poor.
That seems low to me.
Well, and I also, so there's some things I didn't count, but anyhow, and I spend more now.
Just the average, even just the average seems
the average.
like
Yeah.
the numbers.
So that's a mean. That's a mean. By the way, that number I'm giving you is a mean. So it's not the low and the high.
No, a mean is not a range. A mean is not a range. A mean is a number. It's an average of all the numbers. It's one number.
Right.
What is this bullshit? Did it say that in the report?
Yeah, so it has the high and the low. I'm just quoting you the means so people understand it. Like, hey, this is the average. Yeah. But also, like, keep in mind, this was done in the U.S. and most of us, and I'm saying this from...
I'm muting myself so I can go over here and rant about averages and
go ahead and rant.
And estimation. I'm
go
listening.
ahead.
I'm just muting so I don't interrupt you.
So this was done in the United States. So we have astronomical healthcare costs, but we also have insurance costs. But also, keep in mind, most of us in this community forego a lot of care for many reasons. I know I do because I have to ration care. I forego my own care so that I can afford to get care for my child, etc.
Yes.
So also keep in mind, likely these patients are rationing care.
Yeah. I completely agree. I do the same.
Interesting. Yeah, so this is not an all-inclusive list, by the way. Like
that blows my mind.
10 things.
I refuse to go through it right now, like as far as like itemized, because I'm sure
I don't want to know again.
I don't want to know.
Yeah, but
I'm sure it's about that.
So little life hack, depending on how you do your taxes, if you do keep up with it, you could claim it.
Yes.
Because it probably goes beyond the standard deduction.
That's true. I have this thing where it's like, yeah, it's also like, oh, I don't want to see it in like black and white. Like, this is why, like, you feel like you're never able to get ahead. Oh, it's because of this much has been just spent on basically, trying to live. Yeah.
Just trying to exist in our bodies.
Trying to exist, So I have a question. There's a lot of topics on the agenda for the EDS Society conference. What are some of the things that didn't make the primary list that kind of are dominating topics in your own worlds? Like, what takes up a lot of your energy that's maybe not listed or isn't going to be addressed at the conference? I'm just curious. What's your wild card?
My wild card.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say PMDD, but that's like my specific thing. But I'm very surprised that there's no, like, it's touched on because when a woman goes through their different hormonal areas, those systems are affected. But for me, like, I wish they would talk about, like, there would be some specialist to come on and talk about, like, the science behind why my uterus decided to make a fluffy lining worthy of, like, accepting an egg on, like, cycle day 5, because that's what it did. Like, when I had periods, because I was a candidate for a uterine ablation. I speak the prophecy of the ablation to anybody. It was one of the best choice. I still haven't had a period. They're like, you might end up after several years having some breakthrough spotting, or because I still cycle. I feel my I feel it.
Yeah.
But
Wait,
because
what did you call your lifetime experience, your unofficial diagnosis? Please explain to people. Besides PMDD, what this is called in Shelley world?
murder pants.
Murder pants. So
Murder
Shelley's
pants.
wild card diagnosis, not on the agenda, is murder pants.
Murder pants.
Murder pants.
If you have murder pants on your bingo card, please use your dauber now. Dauber.
So murder pants is very common in my family history, and it dominates our life too. So I second it. I'm with you, Shell.
Yeah. Yeah, we can do a whole episode on murder pants. We don't have to keep discussing it here.
We are gonna do a whole episode on gynecology because that was the first standard of care for EDS. But really, it was pregnancy.
I was going to say, wasn't it pregnancy? It
was pregnancy because babies are what we're here for.
Well, right. Mm-hmm.
I love my child, but that's not the only reason we exist. Epiphany.
Yeah.
What about you? Do you have a co-occurring condition that you wish was on the agenda this year?
I think yes, but also I'm trying to figure out what is co-occurring and what's just, because you can have separate things that aren't related to like diabetes, like apparently like that's not a recognized comorbidity. But now I'm like,
no.
But pancreatic issues are, and what is an issue when you had the diabetes?
Apparently your pancreas. And that's a whole nother can of worms. I think for me, like my wild card thing that we had discussed it a little bit earlier as far as like what was missing, I felt from the conference lineup would be a direct topic on hypermobility itself. I know we're focusing on like the co-connecting, but specifically, I think just given the year I've had with issues directly related to the hypermobility.
You mean literally your hypermobile joints?
Yes. Yeah. That are causing so many problems that PT
but
is
you
not
mean like the damage it does to your soft tissue?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Not just like, for instance, I am currently...
I mean, it does. It causes things like bone spurs and yes.
Yeah, which I have. Like that's the ankle issues I'm having with my Achilles is I've got bone spurs on every insertion site that's stabbing, and now I'm getting, all these kind of bumps and deformities and cysts and all this crap. And I'm like, no amount of PT is going to help this. And I even asked my PT therapist at the end, because I'm like, hey, I'm going to have to stop coming because I think like nothing's really helping. Like, no offense.
Sometimes the activity makes it worse.
And
literally when you have, I mean, this is what happened. And Tiffany, I don't know if you've heard us talk at length about our hips, but Shelley and I have very similar hip issues. Shelley had hers repaired. I've not had mine repaired yet.
I will come take care of you when you do it. I'm not joking. Just saying.
I just need to save up some leave and we'll plan for it.
Okay.
I know you're not joking. We'll talk about it. And I have put off mine because of costs and life and all this. One of the great things about having community is this conversation you just kind of briefly heard, because I was like, who's going to take care of me? But PT was actually literally making it worse because all of the activity was aggravating and inflaming the hip capsule.
Just like my shoulders.
And inside in the hip socket, my bones were reacting and they have all these little spikes now on them. So it was shredding the hip labrum. So
that's why they shaped mine
down. To be doing. Yeah.
Yeah, they had to.
So that's what they want to do is they want to shave it down, reshape my hip socket, and
yoink it up.
Fix the,
I was gonna say shit. We were talking. What did you say, Tiffany? You were talking about
like
so the hypermobility, right? So along those same lines, same thing. Like I keep waiting for the day when I'm like older and my hypermobility goes away because I'm still the bendiest bitch on the block, except for maybe my friend Carrie's shoulders.
You're going to be dealing with what our parents deal with. Yeah.
Right. But so I don't want to deal with that. So, but how do I maintain, like, I feel like I have to constantly be aware of like my body because I can only wear the support braces for so long before either it messes up my circulation or just the fabric annoys me or I'm too hot or just whatever. It's Tuesday. But the tapes don't always work either. So it's like I have to constantly think about my hypermobility. How do I sleep? I have to make sure I have this little pillow blockade so that when I'm on my side, I can lean up. So I'm up against it a little bit so that my hips don't shift, so that I'm not accidentally putting my spine at an angle, because I already have. I'm really, really trying to avoid low. I'm not going to fuck with my neck, but
my hips constantly getting in and out of my vehicle.
Yes.
If I'm not consciously planning how to get in and out.
I rented a big pickup truck for us to have at the conference, because I want us to be able to just kind of grab it and like hoist ourselves in, because I feel like that would be easier than trying to like.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm just thinking of a tall ass bitch going with two shorties, but maybe.
Not just because America, we're in Texas and we need to blend in.
First of all, it had made sense for the space and for the same price as like an elite SUV that was smaller. So I was like, you know what? I'm getting a truck.
And all three of us will fit.
It'll be great. It'll fit all of our shit. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
And Tiffany, we got Tiffany a virtual ticket. So Tiffany will actually be live, virtual, able to ask questions and help us.
Which means we have to.
Am I just gonna FaceTime you the whole time and like wear you on me? That would be hilarious.
So I thought
She's talking for me. Here, talk to her.
I thought of that. Like, is there a time limit on it? Can I just be attached, and then that way I'm like there, and like, or like, you know, like sci-fi, you have those little robot that just goes around and it's a person because it's a FaceTime camera.
I'll just bring my rollator. I'll bring my rollator and just clip you onto it. And here's Tiffany.
That would be fantastic. I would love that.
Cool.
I'm there in spirit. I'm very bummed, but unfortunately it's just not in the cards this year. I will still be there in spirit and technology.
Well, I hope the next time it's in the US, you and the girls consider possibly we can come, because I would love for them to experience Zebra Camp.
Oh yeah. And they really did want to, like, this year. It's just like by the time things worked out, it just was not feasible because, you know,
it's not so accessible.
Things got really expensive.
And it's hard right now.
My oldest is flying in from Texas next week, and he's going to be here for like a month because his girlfriend, they just went and saw Ariana Grande last night, but she just defended her master's, and she's starting her PhD program when they get back. So they're having a little vacation here. Like, her family's in Pennsylvania. So Rob's going to be here.
Oh, that'll be nice.
Yeah, but that's not why he's not going.
He's not Alec, though.
He's not, but no. Rob's going to be here at the house visiting.
Oh, there.
Yeah. He's going to Maryland. But when we get back,
we were to see him.
No, I was kind of excited too, because if he was going to be around, I was going to try to figure out a way to like get a little further west, right? But no. So the day after we get back is the Muse show. Okay.
Literally.
If Alec has spent the last 4 days previous traveling with me, managing me, making sure I'm a hydrated bitch, etc., etc. Like, I know what I need when I get back from traveling, and it's not going to also be Alec. Like, because when he needs that too, he needs a little bit of downtime. So we decided it would be smarter and more financially sound, honestly, if he stayed behind. Because I'm feeling way healthier. I'm not having all of my structural body issues.
And he can be prepared.
Yes. And this way he gets a weekend of rest. And when he picks my ass up, he'll know what to do to manage me until we have to just like go get in the car to go see the Muse show the next day.
Yeah.
And so we will miss him. We'll miss our errand man.
We will miss him literally too, by the way.
Yeah.
In case you ever listen.
Yeah. He says he does, but then he never says anything to me about it ever. So I have no idea. I don't know if he's placating me or not. If you're placating me, husband, I know
Code word, Alec, message me poppy flowers if you're listening.
I love it. Luna, what's your wild card?
Are you getting out of trying to tell us your wild card?
Yeah. No.
What's your wild card?
I'm just squirreling. Okay. Well, I have so many. You know, when we were talking about that financial cost, you know what breaks the bank for me are my teeth. So I feel like I should talk about that. And as much as I want to bring up lipedema, hashtag chubby
Word.
zebras, I'm going to save that for a whole episode. I'm actually going to talk about something different. I have developed a framework for something I call traumatism, the combination of trauma and autism, specifically through the lens of our experience. I truly believe the elephant in the room with the zebras is trauma. So here's the overview. There's kind of three parts to how this all comes together. So the idea of medicalized trauma is
Talked
a
about
term
that last
from,
season.
from Dr. Halverson at IU. The psychological and systemic impact of years of diagnostic delay, gaslighting, and dismissal by physicians. Combine that with two, epigenetic changes, which I feel like I've kind of touched on, but I'm going to just kind of summarize it here.
You have,
And
but
that,
you're putting it all together. Like you're making the connection.
Yeah. So epigenetics is how generational families carry unsupported disability and unrecognized neurodivergence pass down altered nervous system expressions. Plus, I think there could be other epigenetic changes based on our experience as very sensitive individuals due to our environmental changes. And there have been big environmental changes in the past couple generations.
She always feels better when she gets that sea air.
Right.
Shocker.
And then the third part is then you combine that with our sensitive wiring. So our neurodivergencies, many of us are autistic or ADHD. So the biological reality is there's a high co-occurrence of heads and autism and ADHD.
Yeah.
So you put those things together and that makes traumatism. So I propose research into how trauma affects our sensitive systems, interacts with both our biology, our development, and examining the complexity of how our constellation of symptoms and medical disorders develops within families and over time will be a vital part of understanding the inherited connective tissue disorders. I hope that makes sense.
It does.
I feel like it's a lot, but that's the summary of it.
It's pretty beautiful, and I feel like you could add another little bubble for like, it's kind of in there just because I always just have my anthropology hat on, so I'm just
thinking about the humanity,
macrocosm.
Yeah. I do think about that, but I think I'm going to save that for another discussion.
Right. Well, right. That's not, anthropology's not your thing.
No, but I have looked at it through that lens.
Right, but that lens is further back.
Did you look at that little essay yet?
I haven't, because I kind of want it to be a surprise.
You just wanted to, okay.
But I can't decide. Should I have it be a surprise? Oh no.
Yeah, no, we're gonna pause. Okay. That's traumatism. I'm gonna put a bow on it for now. That's it in a summary. We should probably, we'll dissect it later, but that's it in a summary.
I like it.
To balance the heavy clinical and trauma talk, I think we should maybe share something practical and functional that helps us. Since we are hacking hypermobility, why don't we share just one thing today? Share one little hack that helps you cope through your challenges. Shelley, do you want to go first?
Yes, I'm ready. I just had to acquire my accoutrement. If you will. My accoutrement. This is a travel themed hack since we have some travel coming up. And but it doesn't have to just be when you're traveling like a distance to go to a work or a fun thing. It can just be like when you're in your vehicle.
Commuting.
Yeah. If you're a passenger princess like myself, the BVD is, I understand now why driving has increasingly gotten more difficult for me. And not just the bright lights, but the bright lights are a problem. And so I keep in my car, in my purse, a sleep mask and a fan. Pre-Palestine.
So blinders and
happy Pride. Tiffany has a Pride fan. I have my watermelon fan. Oh, additionally, in addition to blocking.
You just have a fan always. You don't have a fan?
No, because I'm always cold.
I'm always dying hot.
So I don't
I've got
know.
Look, my fingers are completely blue.
No, y'all need to listen. Hold up. This fan is not, it can be used for fanning. This fan is to block light if I don't want to wear my sleep mask in the car. And it helps the directional challenges that, so that's.
Yeah. So you don't have to focus on two.
Right, because I'm typically, So, because I am also of the always cold variety. Which, by the way, is a sign of dysautonomia. Temperature regulation sucks.
Almost like it's all connected.
I wish I had the two. I'm always cold. I'm sorry. I like wintertime. This past winter, I noticed I definitely struggled a lot more regulating body temperature.
You could develop some completely intreatable anemia and it'll give you that problem. Okay, so speaking of hacking hypermobility, Tiffany, our producer, do you have a life hack for coping with EDS and all its friends?
I do. I have a new one that I'm actually really excited about.
And you've tried it or you haven't tried it?
I'm working on it. So yes,
okay.
I've tried it. I'm implementing right now.
So this is in its experimental stages. Okay.
Yes, because I've heard about it and I've wanted to do it for like a year. And I finally, after a year of thinking about it all the time, have finally started to implement.
There's that processing delay.
Yeah, right. Which is perfect for what I'm going to talk about. Automation in life. Because I've learned that a lot of the mental, this happens a lot, the brain fog. And it's very frustrating for me because it's compounded by like perimenopause and a multitude of other things. Like right now, like my neck I didn't realize my neck's been killing me this entire recording. Like I just realized I've been kind of like,
everybody take a break.
And when
gentle
that happens,
stretches.
When that happens, I notice it just starts compounding on like my functional things. Like I forgot to do this and I forgot to do that. So I started looking into what are things that I could do that I don't have to actively think about, which sounds really ridiculous, but it's very helpful. I discovered NFC tags and creating shortcuts by scanning NFC tags or creating automations. So like when I get to work, I just take my little phone and I tap a tag by my front door and that starts my work timer so I can log like when I'm in the office, and then it runs a series of things that it'll automatically do. I have one for like a morning routine that will automatically like give me my weather for the day. What do I have on my schedule?
I have my smart home set up like that, and so many people like they come over and they hear it and they're like, "What's happening?" I'm like, "That's my algorithm. That's my brain. That's my second brain. I don't know how I would function without it."
I have it at home for a lot of things, but then I was like, there were some things like I was missing because
the automation at work is genius.
It is, but it's also like remembering to do these things. So like when I have a laundry timer set up, and what I've discovered is my brain seeks novelty.
Same.
And
I'm definitely a novelty chaser.
Having different things set up. So like I could say like, hey Siri, set a laundry timer. Or when that stops working, because after a month it usually does, then I'll have these cute little button things that I could automatically bing, and that would start my laundry timer. Because sometimes I realize, like, sometimes I don't want to talk. And so even just at home alone saying, hey Siri, there are days where I just
That's an annoying task.
Such a struggle to just even say basic words. So now I can be completely silent on those days and do this. Siri's talking to me. She's like, what do you want?
I am all about outsourcing chores and tasks. I will say though, automation is not perfect. So I get frustrated with parts of it. And then, so like what we were talking about with like, I was trying to use the AI to clean up the prep for the episode. And it made me mad. I was like, no, that's not what I wanted to say.
That's why I don't have automatic refill at the pharmacy. Ask me when I want it, bitch. Don't assume.
Yeah, there's some things about automation. So like automation isn't fully smart yet. So it has to be, so I like how it's something like with the tags, it's like something you design or you, yeah.
Like if this and that, that
Mhm,
whole technology.
Yeah. So Samsung, that's one of the things I like about Samsung is we have that built in with modes and stuff. And like, I don't know, I set vibes with my lights, my TV, music, all that, like I have automated. And it also helps me keep routine because I have such horrible time blindness.
My lights
But I don't
dim
feel like,
with my lights are on like circadian, so they'll get
me
like
too.
into it.
Circadian
Yeah.
same. And it matches like it
It's
it
adapted
aligns
to
with the sun and not hours. But I don't have like access to that at work. And I think how cool would it be if I could do that at like automate certain things at work? That is clever.
Are you in a
I never
skiff?
thought of that.
Oh, you just meant you can do stuff. Sorry. You're not in a skiff though, right?
No,
No. I don't know.
definitely not in a skiff.
I can't.
Why would I be in a skiff?
I don't know.
Explain what a skiff is, because I think I know
Secure
the definition of it
compartmented
before.
information facility.
Yeah.
Or it's
Not a boat.
no, oh, not an SKIFF, no. And not
No,
an S and not a
there's
spliff.
here's one
No, my
thing that
Shelley
changed.
calming salt.
You and her.
Love you. Speak to see me in a moment. Okay, continue.
I can't wait.
Are you sure?
Um,
I'm hyper.
yes, I literally can't wait to see you, but also go
Okay,
sleep.
I will let you. I'm gonna stand up. I clearly need to move or something. So I'm gonna
move your body a minute.
I'm gonna mute myself.
And it will go, but listen, because it will go with what I have to say.
Oh, interesting. I'm told you I was psychic, right?
Yeah, you are.
Okay.
Bendy baddies. Here is one thing that changed how I think about movement, and we've touched on this. So the goal isn't obviously to become more flexible for us. It's to become more aware in our bodies, but also to become comfortable in this awareness, to find a balance. So my hypermobility hack for this episode is to use somatic practices and take advantage of neuroplasticity to train your proprioception. I used a lot of big words. What is proprioception? I kind of touched on this, but I'm going to define it. A lot of us have joints that move really well, too well, but our brain doesn't always too far. Our brain doesn't always get clear information about where these joints are in space because our range of motion or where those joints go extends beyond what would be typical. That's called proprioception, the sensory experience of your body moving in space, and that feedback going to your brain and through your body is actually something we can train. And then tie that into pacing. One of the biggest shifts for me has been slowing everything down and learning not to push myself when I feel good. When I have good days, balancing myself.
Hard when you're bored.
But then also think about pacing on a micro level. So instead of rushing through movements, I mentioned I dislocate my hips a lot getting in and out of my vehicle. I move at about half speed, and
Wait, you slowed down and it fixed it?
It did, because I'm often rushing through a movement.
Sorry, I just had to throw in that. Get up slower.
Yeah, get up slower is the answer. But so our brain isn't getting like clear feedback when we're rushing or when we're not so consciously tapped into our movement, because our proprioception, our sensory experience of our body in space isn't so accurate.
It's not connected.
Yeah. So also, as I'm moving, doing things, I try to like consciously think if I'm working out, if I'm strength training, for example, I try to think, can I stop before I hit my end range? Because my end range is probably farther than it needs to be. And that tiny change has helped me feel like more stable and more like in control of my movement. And then also, if you do that repetitively, like strength training, if I'm repetitively training myself, like if I'm lifting a weight and I'm only doing it to like the end range of a straight arm and not hyperextending my elbow, then that's training my movement over time to not hyperextend my elbows when I'm doing a,
Muscle
movement
memory
in my
movement.
daily life, lifting a box instead of
So
just
muscle
working out.
memory. So
Muscle memory,
it's
yeah.
deliberate,
Mhm.
targeted muscle memory. So
Right. That's the neuroplasticity.
I want to tack onto that though, like the thought, how you said you were consciously thinking about things. I had to, when I started Pilates, however long ago,
Mm-hmm.
because
Are you going
I'm
to talk about a
bendy.
mirror?
No, but it's interesting that I do need to use a mirror because
Yes,
I
that's
don't
one
know
of the
where.
things.
So, but along with that, because I am bendy, I had to actually consciously activate my muscles myself to make sure that I was using
right
my
ones.
muscles to move, because I was just using my leg. Because I'm bendy, I could just do it. So
yeah, and we would also use not wrong muscles, but we also use different muscles to do movements that other people wouldn't do. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
We fire the wrong things. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I've been more conscious of that, trying to activate the smaller accessory muscles and and it's also helped me be more conscious of my breathing.
Yeah.
Which
one
is
of the
huge.
Things, yes.
So anyway, that's the end of my,
one
but I
of
was
the
just
things,
thinking about it. Conscious.
One of the things that helped me in this practice was, strength training, but I didn't understand hypermobility and strength training when I first did all this. So like I trained and had all my big muscles really strong, but I didn't train those little muscles. And truly, like those accessory muscles, those supportive muscles, those are what kind of guide our proprioception.
Yeah.
More than anything. It's not your quads. So, and then the other thing is that I wasn't breathing. Like I would hold my breath, or I was breathing shallow. And I still don't breathe right unless I'm conscious about it. And
Same.
our diaphragms are stretchy. Likely you are hypermobile in your diaphragm, and that's something you can train as well. And so one of the other things I was, I'm thinking about the end range. One of the other things to think about is the middle range. So literally narrowing your range. So learning to try to keep yourself in your middle. Like just kind of keep yourself. Shelley mentioned having blinders on earlier. It's that idea of keeping yourself on a more narrow path. So for example, if you lock your knees when you're standing up, and I know I do,
Same.
or I pop out my hips, things like that.
That doesn't happen to me as much anymore.
So when I'm standing, I'm stuck in a line, I do that sway a lot, one of those things. That's, kind of a natural movement a lot of us do to adapt. One of the other things I've had to learn is like, people would say, well, soften your knees. I'm like, what do you mean by soften your knees? So I had to learn. So it wasn't a soft
how to
knee.
stand. It's to stand correctly, because you were standing wrong. You couldn't soften your knees because you weren't standing right.
I had to learn how to turn on the muscles. So it was not softening. It was actually hardening. It was the opposite of softening.
You were activating different muscles.
My calves. It was turning on my hamstrings. It was so all these things that I had. And anyhow, so my body was telling me the answers. I had hamstring issues. I had calf weaknesses. Everywhere I was having injuries. That's where I had weakness. That's where I needed to train. That's where I needed to train proprioception. So narrow your range, think about where you're having injuries or problems, and think about those movements more detailed. Like talk to your body. Like literally, I can talk to my muscle. I can visualize it. I can look in the mirror, and the mirror work helps me a lot.
Yeah, because I can't visualize, so I definitely do need like a mirror. But I was also going to tack on to what you're saying about proprioception. I'm super curious to see how I'm getting this scan done the next time I go into the eye doctor with this new machine that is designed specifically to address individual eyes for BVD. Because right now the treatment is like an aggregate of like eyes they've studied. It's not custom. And I've used some of those correction with my lenses, but it's still not I'm still struggling. So I'm really curious to see how my mindful exercise plus maybe less vision
And I've done some
effectiveness.
BVD exercises because I have not found a neuroocular specialist here to see yet, but I'm very certain I have it. In fact, someone has told me I have it unofficially, but I'm not their patient, but they're just a provider on TikTok.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, but help me find a doctor here.
Yeah, that's the issue, right? We've been talking about it pretty much this whole episode.
Because my eye doctor looks at me like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. And if you're not so affected that it's obvious you need immediate surgery to correct,
And so what's interesting is BVD exercises are essentially proprioceptive feedback, by the way.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
So, continuing that thought and idea, so I've also, as I've been in burnout, I've been in therapy, and I love my therapist. Shout out to her. I wish I could fire her so I could be her best friend because I adore her, but I need her, so she's still my therapist.
Yeah.
And we do some, she's taught me some somatic practices. We've done IFS, internal family systems, which is like inner child work, and we've done things like brain spotting. And I didn't so much believe in these things. I got to be honest. Like I've read the research, I saw that there was evidence, but I didn't think, I was so disconnected from my bodily experience. I tried an EMDR and failed. I was like, okay, we'll try, we'll see. And one of the experiences I had in therapy so often was okay, so when you're trying to go into the therapeutic space to do IFS work, the inner child stuff, one of the things they have you do is to kind of try to get in a calm state is, I had a therapist say, okay, grind yourself and put your feet on the floor. And I'm like, I can't do that. I'm uncomfortable. I can't sit like this. What are you talking? I'm like, that doesn't do anything, whatever. So I had tried a lot of somatic type practices that weren't really doing it. I had to learn somatic practices differently because of hypermobility. So this is kind of a caveat to that. Mm-hmm. So one of the things that works differently for us is we respond to pressure. So there's a practice called EFT tapping. So when I did tapping, I responded to that, and I never thought I would. When I did the putting my feet on the floor thing, this did nothing to me because all I could feel was disjointed. Right. But when she had me stand up and go do a shoulder press on the wall, pushing as hard as you can to kind of and then I just settled all into my body, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm present in my body. I was like, oh,
that's why
this
is Pilates,
what you
get on the reformer
in your body,
and you settle in. Yeah,
right. So I had felt that not in a clinical somatic practice space. I had felt that in the pool. I had felt that in the gym. I had felt that in the woods, but I never had a therapist be able to talk to me through the lens of neurodivergence and hypermobility to get me into the space where we could do somatic practices. So you have to tweak some of this or, accommodate yourself differently. So that, to me, I still do that when I feel very disjointed or out of my body. I will go do push myself up against the wall. If I'm driving and my neck hurts, I will push the back of my head against the chair. I will do this, the prayer hands, and push the palms, my palms, the heel of my hands together. And it gives this pressure feedback, and it pushes up into your, your shoulders, into your traps. And it just kind of helps. Mine are really wonky and I get a lot of pain here, and it will kind of give this feedback and kind of release things, but it also puts me back into my body. And that's one of those things we're trying to build, is an actual mind-body connection, because so many of us slip out of connection with our body because of pain. And so it seems like a simple mind shift, but it really isn't. It takes a lot of work, and it's been a lot of hard practice for me, honestly. But it is a simple practice to start integrating into your life, to start asking, just in your movements, how far can I go? How far should I be going? What feels good? How well can I control this movement? And start creating actual connection with your mind and your body and bring it into more conscious awareness. So set an automated reminder for little daily check-ins. I have an automated reminder to tell me to drink water and unclench my jaw.
How would you just not ignore that?
And
like, fuck you,
well, right now it's
Alexa.
working.
Okay.
And I have there's I sit with my legs all crooked and a foot under a hip, and I got to remind myself, okay, unpretzel, this isn't good for you. Things like that.
As I shift my body right now.
Yeah. So how can I let go of just like 10% of like the tension in my jaw right now and find a more supported kind of position in my neck? One of the other practices, and I can't remember where I learned it. It was, I want to say it was a physical therapist creator on one of the social medias. And it was like where you basically rebuild your spine and you just collapse yourself forward slowly. Like, and I have to hold on to have something in front of me. Like I do it over my bed. And then I just slowly unfurl and then rebuild my spine back up one layer at a time.
Yep. We do that in Pilates.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing.
And you do it, it's a very intentional, slow, controlled movement. And that's helped tremendously with my pelvic issues too, because my pelvis is always wonky.
Yeah.
But your spine is such a big, part of your bodily experience and articulation that it really helps all the other things, because it connects to a lot of things. So, but just, start thinking small. It doesn't have to be a big practice. Like you can just start adding it into your daily routine, something simple. I started in little moments, like standing in line or while you're brushing your teeth, while you're cooking. Just some little part of your life routine, start having a really conscious mind-body awareness of your movement. And it really, I promise it really does make a difference. I didn't really think it would make so much of a difference, but it did. And why is this so important? For me, somatic work isn't about performing perfect movements. It's not about having a great body or, having a healthy body free of pain, because it never really is. It's about building trust between my brain and my body, just like one small intentional movement at a time to get through the day. And over time, those small movements kind of add up and you have like a toolbox that you can go to when you're having a rough moment, a harder day. But also internally, that builds a sense of safety. It allows you to feel stronger, steadier, more stable. And building self-trust within our bodily containers can feel really daunting with disability, especially when we add in all the trauma that came along with it. But this has become integral in helping me learn how to manage my energy and protect myself from energy, releasing the tension and all those old patterns of like muscle guarding and bracing. But on a deeper level, it means something too. It helps retrain ourselves, like our souls, our humanness, after all the medical and generational trauma of having undiagnosed and unsupported EDS and neurodivergence, that we can entrust our bodies and our intuition and actually live and exist in our bodies and grow stronger. And it seems simple when you say, just like, connect with your body. But it isn't for us. No. But it starts with a simple practice.
Putting a fan in your purse is so much easier than that. Just saying.
I mean,
that's beautiful.
While you're brushing your teeth, just think about all your movements. That's all I'm saying. It can start there.
No, that's a long lasting.
I mean, literally, it was started small for me, and now it's like a bigger thing. Yeah,
I think that is hard. I've heard this, and I've been trying to get better about doing that, like being more aware of myself. I think the struggle I have is that, like you said, like when you check in and it's just like, I'm in pain. And now I'm very aware of this pain. Whereas before it was like, I could kind of mute it on a background noise.
Yeah.
Like
but I can also, I can also accept it differently now. I can cope with it. Like, I can be like, okay, I'm in pain, but then I can say, wait a minute, can I dial that pain down?
Yeah.
Is it as bad as I'm perceiving it? And not in a self-gaslighty way. In a, like, is it a 4-alarm fire? Like, I think it is?
Like, is there anything
Hold
I could
on.
do immediately to dial it down that's like not like, can I
But
control
also,
some of it?
I have a pain disorder. I have a processing disorder where my pain elevates, like, the sensory experience of it is much higher than like what it is, and that's very common in EDS. And this is how
So
I've learned how to
I
cope
have
with
that
it.
marker too.
Yeah,
It's on one of the genes, right?
I don't even know. I just have been diagnosed with it by the pain doctor, but I don't know that. It sounds so like self-gaslighty, but I promise it's not. But I can literally tap into my body now and be like, okay, I feel pain there. Like, can I move around? Is that still there? And like, I can just kind of be zen about it for a minute and like sit in the pain and accept it and be like, okay, is it as bad? And then I start thinking about it differently. And I literally talk to my body and myself differently. And I'm like, okay,
And you
how can I
transmuted
feel a
your
little more
pain.
comfortable? It's a little more comfortable. Okay, how can I find more comfort? And so I'd start talking, like, you start talking to yourself and you start sending your body like more loving signals about it. And we're getting into the woo stuff. But
I mean,
as you become more mind body connected, you have more control over your perception of your pain and how your body responds to this proprioceptive difference and all this feedback. And you can train like those pathways. I can now be more stable in certain movements. Like, I am still bendy, but I can, there was a point in my life where I couldn't walk more than a mile, and I used to run. And now I can probably go on a hike comfortably for about 3 miles, and then my hip is just killing me.
Yeah, but I haven't gone for a long walk yet.
Yeah. So
I'm probably due for it. I was going to say, that's one of the times I was getting surgery. I don't know. They were having trouble getting my IV in. Shocker. He's like, I need you to relax a little. He's like, whatever. And I literally went into my body and I like took a breath and I was like, left arm, you're going to cooperate. I didn't say it out loud, but I was kind of like, you're just going to cooperate now. And I like took a breath and literally he's like, I don't know what you just did, but it went in. And I was like, oh, I mean,
well, we
was that me?
ourselves. Truly, we do.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't trash talk Jewel as much as I used to. We're friends now. For those who don't know,
it is
I named my
ultimately
body
about
Jewel.
it is ultimately about self-love, even with flaws.
Yeah, that was very reassuring. It's a good hack.
It's not perfect, but
5% is better than nothing.
Amen.
Same.
And that is, by the way, evidence-backed. There's been studies on this.
You generally don't present information that hasn't been
I do, but there has been significant.
I'm saying,
research
generally speaking, you don't. And if it's not, you're very clear to say so. Is what I'm getting at. You're deliberate with your.
I am very, very fortunate that I have access to mental health care and to a provider that's willing to incorporate somatic practices. In my experience, that is highly inaccessible and not affordable, and it makes me very angry.
I get it through massage.
I would recommend, if you are struggling with access to care like that.
That's what I was just going to say. Like, if you can swing it somehow, massage.
I would say there are some other movement practices, Pilates being one of them.
Yep.
Water cardio has given me crazy proprioceptive training. Weight training, carefully, I would do it with a trainer. And Jeannie DeBond's movement method is highly, highly tailored to people like us. And really, truly, that's what really put me in a different place for body work. And it also, that's what informed me about comedy and my voice and so many things, but we won't go down that rabbit hole right now.
We're saving that.
So, but I'm so excited to go to the next conference.
Yes. So as we've mentioned, we are going to be in Dallas, Texas. That's going to be the 2026 EDS Global Learning Conference for HSD, blah 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 blah. July 24th to the 26th.
All the things.
All the things, and we're going to be there. And if you find us while we're there, we are going to have some cute little goodie bags to give out to anyone who can come find us. While Quantities
They're good
Lost.
goodies too.
They are good.
Also, I have nothing to do with this. Nothing. Those two. All of them. The brains of the goodies.
And Shelly's behind all of it.
Gotcha goodies. But they're practical things. They're things that sometimes I wish I had when I was traveling that I forgot. Okay, end of clue. But we'll be there. And also, I did not end up reaching out to the talent show person. So I am not participating in the talent show. However, no, because you're like, I emailed and I saw you wrote this whole thing, and I was like, I'm not sitting here trying to be like a blah 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 blah. Let me in. What?
I have to do this by myself.
I'll go stand there with you.
No, don't stand there with me.
I'll stand behind. I'll do an interpretive dance.
Okay. No, don't do that either.
I could. Anyway, I was going to submit something, but then it felt like too much work for me to try to justify doing it. However, what I would have submitted is something that I'm going to have with me regardless. So it will be there.
Yeah.
Good. I think I'm looking forward
we
to
still
that.
get to see that, right? Like that's not going to be a secret. Okay. So I did.
It's a fashion piece.
Okay. So they do have a night, like the special night, the celebration or whatever. And part of that is Zebra's Got Talent. So I may or may not have written a comedy set all about EDS. But I have nowhere to go do this show. Like, and I do sometimes make a little joke about my life and disability, but like only very, kind of glossing over it. Because the audience generally, maybe there's a small percentage that'll get it. But so I've never performed this, so I'm a little nervous about this because like I won't have practiced it in front of an audience. Because my
comedy run it by
show
me?
isn't. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe I may have to practice with you guys. I did also submit my spoken word poetry about autism. But I don't really want to. I mean, I could perform it, but I kind of was like, here's just the performance in the written poem. I feel like it's just kind of heavy and dark for a gala. So
I mean, when we arrive,
would probably be better.
Right when we roll in, they're like, "Let's watch the movie Complicated." Like right when you show up. So
yeah, that
I'm
night.
gonna take a pass on that. No, thank you.
I'll I have the
haven't
DVD.
watched it. I don't need.
I watched it twice now, and I'm good. So we can do something else that night.
I've healed a lot, and I didn't probably experience any of what they experienced at the level they experienced it, but I know I experienced it, and I'm getting so much better at looking back at shit that happened, but I'm not ready to look back that
heavily.
Raw, that raw. I can talk about it all day. I don't want to watch somebody else's because that's what gets me.
Yeah. So I face my trauma with it quite a bit in therapy. It's still very, very triggering for me. And I've been through, I'm not going to trauma dump, but I've been through other traumas besides this, like as an adult.
Same.
Like if I told people like, on the street what I've been through, they would think, oh, well, that's so much worse. How are you? But I'm over, I'm over that. Like I've been shot at. I've had stalkers. I've had a horrible traumas.
I'm aware of your former stalker. That was like my first. That was an experience that I don't ever want to ever.
Yeah. But I'm
glad I was there for
okay.
You,
but you know what I mean. Like my point is, I'm okay with that. The stuff from the medical trauma, the medical trauma through my kid, my childhood trauma dealing with that, I still struggle with that. So watching Complicated.
Yeah, I think
that
that's probably
bring
why.
that up. Yeah.
Because a lot of the stuff I've healed, I have been able to like either close the door or like new information about it, I analyze in a different way. But because our existence is still ongoing with the unknown, seeing some
unknown,
I could see it. I will articulated probably why I intuitively don't want to watch it. You know,
I will
like
say
I never watched an episode of that show Parenthood. Didn't need to. I lived it.
It gave me pause on how I approach my child's care now. Like it made me
nervous,
more hesitant. Yeah, I'm like, oh my God. So
well, like, especially with how things are changing,
the climate that we live in these days, and you know, the children that we have, and
the move towards institutionalization of disabled people is where I was getting at.
That's what I'm saying. Like your children are grown, thank goodness. I have a minor child, and
I have one who might want to have kids, and I'm kind of like,
I'm so thankful that, you know, I have a child that is so tenacious and outspoken, but you know, like we have these labels, we have these disabilities. She is different, and that's like my worst fear. And I live in the South, in the Bible Belt, and you know, our plan is for her to finish high school, and you know, her plan is to go to school elsewhere. But like, I keep thinking, oh my God, do we need to leave? Do we need to leave? Do we need to leave? Because of all the things that just the state here is doing. And I'm not going to derail and talk about that, but it's scary.
And
like her doctors are safe, but the state and the government's overreach into our hospital systems here is not safe.
Yeah. The bigger,
yeah. Like, and I know one of my friends has a trans child who is in college and has not gone to the doctor.
Caro's boyfriend, trans man. Doesn't have a passport.
And I'm going to call them out. They may provide the majority of our care, but Vanderbilt turned over trans records to the government.
That's disgusting, Vanderbilt. I'm
much for protecting children and patients.
I'm grateful that I'm in Maryland, but it's still, our Democrat governor has signed away millions in supports for families with adult disabled children and other disabilities. And so they're looking to institutionalize. That's the arc.
Yeah.
So it's happening it's happening in blue states too, unfortunately.
It's happening all over.
I have two friends who are super affected by it in my community. And so one of the things I want to do is, now that I feel like I'm in more of a place to help, is try to figure out like what small thing could I do in the community to help others in the community, because that's really what it's all about. Is like,
I think that's what's so important for us, is to have the space where we have, you know, some space in our lives where we're not so focused on just getting through the day, to do the things and the passions we're called to serve our community, to have the passions that we're called to do, to be the people we're called to do. But also, like, I want my child to have that opportunity.
Yeah.
I'm very much looking forward to the conference and learning about, you know, because the comorbid conditions some of them cause more havoc than joint hypermobility, honestly, in my life and my kids' life. So the conference previously was mostly such a great experience. I really do look forward to what new information the experts have to share with us and that sort of thing. So,
do we know if Dr. Cadet is going?
I'm not sure. We could message and ask.
I didn't see her on the speaker list, but just because
I didn't see her
doesn't mean she won't be there.
Yeah. But so I think, you know, in this upcoming season, we're going to get a little more specific and go into more in-depth episodes about the co-occurring conditions. And hopefully we will be able to bring back what we learned from, you know, these experts in the EDS fields and their co-occurring conditions from from the conference in Dallas. And one of the things that the team has talked about is some of our conversations we record and we don't really with the audience. And we have talked about
dozens of hours. I'm not going back. That's
we're not going to go back.
That's for when they make a movie about us in 15 years.
Yeah. But we are going to introduce a new premium subscription option where we kind of get a little more raw and existential. And we talk about how facing chronic illness and a genetic disability has led to deconstructing our life, maybe more of the spiritual and like soulful aspects of our experience in life and our family. Because yes, it's all connected and we are all connected.
Literally.
Well, I am very much looking forward to what this new season has in store for us. I am so happy to be back with you guys, and I've missed this a lot. So
I know,
thank you.
Too.
I love you guys, and thank you, Tiffany, for keeping us all held together. You're like our literal connective tissue.
I was just like, lots of good stuff happening, lots of good advancements, lots of new good information. It's going to be good. We got to say like subscribe and follow and
yeah. So I didn't write anything. So what do you? I didn't write that down. So who wants to say all that?
Hey,
thanks for tuning in. You've been listening to Hacking Hypermobility Podcast. I can't even say it anymore. We've been talking too long. I'm Luna.
Oh, I'm Shelly.
We're the Bendy Mamas.
Sorry. How about I'll come back and do a little quick exit thing.
No, we'll do the goodbye. I'll be a normal human.
What do you want to say?
I don't know. I'm clearly need to go run outside in the grass. Is clearly what my problem is. So
the grass.
Just thank you for listening, or thank you for joining us for the start of the new season. I'm Luna. I'm Shelly.
Okay, bye.